All right, everybody, welcome back to JFabe Wrestling. And as you know, it's November, so that means the Survivor Series season. I just wanted to wait, until Crown Jewel is finished, so we're finally on the road to Survivor Series. First off, quick thoughts about Crown Jewel. I thought it was a solid show. I thought Logan Paul did pretty well. Really good actually for someone in his third match. I know he got injured, so hopefully he can recover fast and be at WrestleMania. And yeah, the matches were solid. We're still kind of waiting on what Bray Wyatt is gonna do. So there's some cool intrigue, and obviously the excitement for Survivor Series is gonna be War Games, first time on the main roster. So the Bloodline's definitely gonna be involved. The question is just who they will face. So yeah, I can't wait to see how that unfolds. But yeah, so let's get into it, guys. We're gonna be looking at Survivor Series 2003. This is the first Survivor Series I'm gonna rebook, and let me just give you guys the information. It was on November 2003 in Dallas, Texas, at the American Airlines Arena, and the card was Team Angle, Kurt Angle, Bradshaw, Chris Benoit, Hardcore Holly, and John Cena defeat Team Lesnar, Brock Lesnar, A-Train, Big Show, Matt Morgan, and Nathan Jones. Then we got Molly Holly retaining her women's championship against Lita. Then we got Kane defeating Shane McMahon in an ambulance match. Then we got the Basham brothers retaining their tag team championships against Los Guerreros. Then we got Team Bischoff, Chris Jericho, Christian, Mark Henry, Randy Orton, and Scott Steiner defeat Team Austin, Booker T, the Dudley Boyz, RVD, and Shawn Michaels. Then we got Mr. McMahon defeating The Undertaker in a Buried Alive match with some help from The Undertaker's brother, Kane. And then in the main event, we got Goldberg defeating Triple H to retain his World Heavyweight Championship. And honestly, this was a pretty good card. I thought both Survivor Series matches were fun, especially the endings. I loved Benoit and Cena being the sole survivors on Kurt's team. It really elevated both of them, especially Cena. He just turned face, so I thought it was very important. Then elevating Benoit before his Rumble win, and then we got the all-time classic Bischoff versus Austin's team, and yeah, man, Shawn Michaels, what a performance he done. He was down 3-1. He eliminated Christian. He eliminated Chris Jericho, and it looked like he was about to eliminate Randy Orton, but obviously Batista interfered, cost Shawn Michaels the match, cost Austin his GM job, which was a very emotional moment. Just kind of tarnished because he did come back a couple months later as the sheriff. It was kind of like, man, what's the point? But at the time, it was definitely emotional, especially for them to be in Dallas, Texas. Obviously, Austin, born in Texas. So it was a pretty cool moment. And then obviously, the Taker McMahon Buried Alive match, that was more storyline progression to build towards, the return of, the classic Undertaker, get rid of the Biker Taker. And then, yeah, Goldberg once again defeating Triple H. Their matches weren't that good. Unforgiven wasn't that good. This match wasn't that good either, but, it was a good way to keep Goldberg strong. And yeah, but I feel like, there's some wrestlers missing on this card. I don't know where Rey Mysterio is. I don't know where not Team Angle, the World's Greatest Tag Team is. So I feel like, I can tweak this a little bit and add, probably a good WWE title match. So I'm going to get into my card, guys. Let's go. All right, guys, the first match I have is for the WWE Women's Championship. We got the champion Molly Holly defending against Trish Stratus, Lita, and Gail Kim. So as you know, on the original card, it was just one-on-one Molly Holly and Lita. But I felt like, what? Why not add Trish and Gail Kim to the card? They're basically a part of the feud at Unforgiven. Lita returned to team up with Trish Stratus to take on Gail Kim and Molly Holly. And prior to that, Trish Stratus and Gail Kim were kind of alliance before, Gail Kim turned on Trish to team up with Molly Holly. So I thought it would only make sense to have, all four of them in this match. Obviously, you got the two friends, Lita and Trish, and then the other two friends, Molly Holly and Gail Kim. But it's every woman's for themselves, so it creates a nice, cool dynamic. And I think yeah, it'd be definitely a fun match. I'd have Molly Holly retain. She was kind of building her title reign to eventually lose to Victoria. So yeah. All right. Next up, we got the WWE Cruiserweight Championship match. We got Tajiri defending against Rey Mysterio at No Mercy. I believe Tajiri defeated Rey Mysterio to retain his championship. I believe Tajiri did defeat Rey on a SmackDown prior to that. So yeah, I think this would be just a good match. I don't know why Ray wasn't on the card. Was he injured? I really don't know. It's kind of weird. Tajiri did defend the Cruiserweight Championship against Jamie Noble on Sunday Night Heat, but I just feel like, yeah, if Ray was hurt, then I would do that match. But, from my knowledge and recollection, he wasn't hurt. So why not have the rematch here and Ray finally get his title back? Obviously, Tajiri had his boys Akio and Sakota, I believe. So maybe that's where you have Jamie Noble maybe interfere because obviously Tajiri did Green Miss Nydia and she was blind. That was kind of a storyline. So that would make sense. So Jamie Noble kind of, evens the odds and that's when Ray, can pick up the win with the 619. I think it'll be a good match, fun match. All right, next match, we got the WWE Tag Team Championship match. I would have Los Guerreros versus the World's Greatest Tag Team. So originally it was Los Guerreros versus the Basham Brothers, but I would just have World's Greatest Tag Team instead of the Basham Brothers, also who were not on the card, and also I believe they were not injured as well. So that's kind of odd, but I think it only makes sense just because if you guys remember at Judgment Day it was supposed to be Los Guerreros versus Team Angle at the time. But obviously Chavo was hurt and it was Eddie and Tajiri, so they kind of be able to blow off their feud here on Survivor Series would make sense. And yeah, it'll be the same purpose, kind of building towards Chavo and Eddie's tension. Eventually, when Chavo turns on him, which was needed for Eddie to become a main eventer, he kind of had to put Chavo away. So yeah, it only makes sense, and I think it would be a better match just because World's Greatest Tag Team were, in my opinion, a much better tag team than the Basham Brothers. So also should be a fun match. All right, next up we got the World Tag Team Championship match. The tag team titles on Raw. I'd have the defending champions, the Dudley Boys versus Test and Scott Steiner. So obviously coming off Unforgiven, Test and Scott Steiner, they're feuding, but at the end they kind of formed a partnership and they kind of got rid of Stacy Keibler. And obviously the Dudley Boys, they defeated La Resistance to regain the tag titles. So here Stacy used to manage the Dudley Boys, so I'd have the Dudley Boys reveal that Stacy's their new manager. So obviously that'll piss off Tess and Scott Steiner. And yeah, going into the match, you could even have Tess and Scott Steiner injure Spike Dudley just to make it a little personal. And yeah, it should be a solid match. Obviously, Scott Steiner at the time wasn't, Scott Steiner in WCW. Tess was always a solid worker. So were the Dudley Boys. So it should be a pretty good match. Um, and I'd have obviously the Dudley Boys retain because they would eventually drop the titles to Evolution, which was pretty important for all of Evolution to have titles. All right, so the next match is the traditional Survivor Series 5-on-5 elimination tag team match. We got Team Austin with Shawn Michaels, Booker T, Rob Van Dam, Shane McMahon, and Val Venus. I know you guys are thinking, what? I'm explain that later. Against Team Bischoff, Triple H, Randy Orton, Chris Jericho, Christian, and Big Dave Batista. So yeah, in order for me to have the Raw Tag Team titles on the pay per view, obviously I had to get rid of the Dudley Boys, and I replaced him with Shane McMahon, which makes sense if you look at SummerSlam, Shane versus Bischoff. Obviously, all the pretty crazy stuff Bischoff was doing a Linda McMahon, so makes sense why he would want to be on Team Austin. And then I said Val Venus because I don't know if you guys remember earlier in the year, he used to be Chief Morley, and I think Eric Bischoff fired him, so he came back as Val Venus, so that kind of makes sense. And for Team Bischoff, I didn't want to do the Goldberg Triple H rematch once again. So, Bischoff kind of makes an ultimatum. If you want a title shot, you got to be on my team and win. So, obviously, that's Triple H's motivation. And yeah, I felt like Batista should have been on the card just because, he, injured Goldberg, which was very impressive. Obviously, he does have a big impact, in real life where he cost Shawn Michaels the match. But I felt like he should have been on the card. I replaced him with Mark Henry just because Mark Henry wasn't really good that time yet. So, and yeah, I think it would still be a great match, and basically have the same type of match where Shawn is down 3-1, and Shawn can eliminate Jericho. You could eliminate Triple H. So I would keep Randy as a sole survivor. Obviously, it just gives Randy more of a boost, more of a rub, and yeah, he could brag about that as well. So I think it was obviously a great Survivor Series match when it happened. So I think it might be even better with some of the talent I added. So yeah. All right, so that was the Raw tag match. Now we got the SmackDown Survivor Series traditional 5-on-5 elimination tag match. And here we got Team Stephanie versus Team Vince. So I don't know if you guys remember at No Mercy, there was an I Quit match between Stephanie McMahon and Vince McMahon. And the stipulation was if Stephanie lost, she would, get fired as SmackDown general manager, which I felt was kind of odd considering Survivor Series is coming up. And you also have a similar concept between, Bischoff and Austin, who gets to run Raw. It would have made sense to have Team Steph versus Team Vince, who gets to run SmackDown. And it saves us from, that uncomfortable father versus daughter I Quit match. And also, you got to consider Steph versus Vince has been happening since the summer, since Stephanie, rehired Hulk Hogan, Mr. America saga, and then obviously Zach Gowen, and then also like Vince cheating again on Linda with Sable. So it would only make sense to have their rivalry blow up at Survivor Series, one of the big four pay-per-views of the year. So Team Stephanie would have Kurt Angle, Undertaker, the APA, and Hardcore Holly versus Team McMahon, who would have Big Show, A-Train, Rhyno, Matt Hardy version 1, and still heel John Cena. So when you look at Team Stephanie's team, obviously Undertaker and Kurt Angle, they have issues with Vince because Vince cost them the WWE title. Then we got, the APA, they're back. They just returned. And obviously Hardcore Holly, he had issues with Brock Lesnar, who's associated with Vince McMahon. So he joins Team Stephanie. And in Team Stephanie, you obviously got Big Show and A-Train. Big Show was aligned with Vince McMahon, and A-Train also teamed up with Big Show, so that makes sense. Then we got Matt Hardy version 1. He was obviously feuding with Zach Gowen, who was, a big nemesis to Vince McMahon, so he's on Team Vince. And then Rhyno, you can have Rhyno, complain about his former tag team partner Chris Benoit, wink wink. Getting opportunities he deserves, so he wants Stephanie gone. And then I'd still have John Cena heel because he's still playing off his feud with Kurt Angle, so he kind of lost to Kurt, but he's slowly getting over with the fans, and so it makes it kind of intriguing. What will Cena do? And obviously, Team Vince is gonna win just because Team Stephanie in real time she got fired, so that makes sense. I actually have the final two be Undertaker and John Cena, and I'd actually have someone in a mask hit Undertaker with a chair. John Cena hits the FU in for the win, and then it's revealed that Paul Heyman helped uh, Team Vince win because Paul Heyman was gonna get the next general manager spot, so that makes sense. And obviously Cena, you know, he really wanted to beat Undertaker clean. He's not happy with that. He gives Paul Heyman an FU, and that's how I would start John Cena's face turn. And yeah, again, blow off to a great feud and storyline progression. Cena, Heyman, obviously they had issues going into 2004. Heyman becomes the GM. Stephanie is gone, and Undertaker goes away for a while because he feels some guilt, for losing the match, but he'll definitely return as obviously the old school Undertaker. All right, next we got the World Heavyweight Championship match: Goldberg versus Kane. If you guys checked my rebooking of Survivor Series 2003, I actually had this match at SummerSlam for the World Heavyweight Championship. But I'm following the timeline that happened in real life. So Goldberg, he defeated Triple H at Unforgiven to finally win the World Heavyweight Championship, and I'd have this match here at Survivor Series. Again, a rematch between Goldberg and Triple H. It wasn't really exciting, and it could also, just help, build for the Armageddon Triple Threat match. So between Kane, Triple H, and Goldberg, and yeah, I'd have Goldberg win clean. Premise would also be, maybe Bischoff is fighting Shane in a rematch from SummerSlam. Kane comes back, and obviously he got hurt at Unforgiven. Remember, Shane drove a limo into a truck, so that I'd have Kane return and obviously help Bischoff win, and Bischoff rewards him with a title match at Survivor Series against Goldberg. So it's the Big Red Machine versus the Machine himself, Goldberg. And I think it'll be a fun match. Doesn't have to go too long. Uh, you know, Monster versus Beast type match. Goldberg gets to win, and that's that. All right, so the main event, I'd have Brock Lesnar defending against Chris Benoit. Yes, these two had a match, I believe, on SmackDown, which was a great match. Lesnar retained, so why not have it here? Brock Lesnar versus Chris Benoit. Brock could be bragging after No Mercy saying he's the best. He's beaten everyone on SmackDown. Benoit could come out and say, "You haven't beaten me," and Brock can just laugh, and then Benoit could win a number one contenders match, against Big Show, Kurt Angle, Undertaker, Fatal Four Way, and puts shows Lesnar that he's for real, and that no one can match his toothless aggression. And yeah, Benoit can say, you're a great wrestler, but I'm better than you and all that. And he could even have Brock tap out in a tag match, so and he could mock Brock and say, "You tapped out," and the fans would start chanting, "You tapped out," and all that. So, and yeah, again, it would just be a great match. Survivor Series, one of the big fours. I think you gotta have great title matches on these big four pay-per-views. So, and Lesnar would retain thanks to some help from Paul Heyman. And I think this would be great just because obviously we know what happens next year with Benoit. But for him to be so close to the big one, and he gets screwed out of it, it makes us even more want to see him eventually get the big one, which he does. And obviously Paul Heyman, he has issues with Benoit, so he puts Benoit number one. At the Rumble, same thing happens. He goes off to Raw, wins the World Heavyweight Championship. It just makes the story even sweeter that, just a couple months prior to winning the Royal Rumble, he was there, but he just got screwed. So, it just shows how determined Benoit was. That what he got screwed, but he still went to win the Royal Rumble, and obviously it'd be a great match. They had a great match on SmackDown. This should have been a pay-per-view worthy match. It probably could have been better than any Angle Lesnar match, just because Benoit. Uh, Angle was kind of injury prone still. Benoit, he could match the intensity of Brock Lesnar, and obviously he gives Brock more heel heat to eventually when he drops it to Eddie Guerrero at No Way Out. Alright, guys, so that is my Survivor Series card. Let me run down the matches for you right now. So, to start off, we got Women's Championship Fatal 4-Way match. Molly Holly defending her women's title against Trish Stratus, Lita, and Gail Kim. And we got the Cruiserweight Championship match. Tajiri defending his Cruiserweight title against Rey Mysterio. We got the World Tag Team Championship match. The Dudley Boyz versus Test and Scott Steiner. And we got the WWE Tag Team title match. We got the World's Greatest Tag Team versus Los Guerreros. And then we got Team Bischoff versus Team Austin. So Team Bischoff will have Triple H, Randy Orton, Chris Jericho, Christian, and Batista versus Team Austin, who has Shawn Michaels, Booker T, RVD, Shane McMahon, and Val Venis. And then we got Team Stephanie versus Team Vince. On Team Stephanie, we got The Undertaker, Kurt Angle, Hardcore Holly, and the Acolytes versus T McMahon, Vince McMahon. They got Big Show, A Train, Rhyno, Matt Hardy version 1, and John Cena. And then we got the World Heavyweight Championship match. Kane challenging the champion Goldberg. And for the WWE World Championship, Brock Lesnar defends his title against Chris Benoit. So yeah, guys, that's my card. Let me know what you guys think. Other Survivor Series you want to see me rebook. Appreciate the support. I'm out. Peace.